How to hang non-woven wallpaper. Difficulty level 1 hammer. Hanging or changing your wall coverings adds style to interior decoration. Follow these guidelines to achieve a perfect result. You will need rolls of non-woven wallpaper and paste for non-woven wallpaper. You will need a sponge, scissors, a craft knife, a tape measure, a 2-meter steel rule, a plumb line, a bucket, a paintbrush, a paste brush or roller, a paper hanging brush, a smoothing blade, a seam roller, and finally a stepladder. Remove the old wall covering. Use a steam stripper to remove the old paper or a sander to remove paint to improve the bond of the paste. There are 3 things to check. Make sure the wall is clean. Otherwise, remove all traces of dust or wash it. Next, make sure it is completely flat. If necessary, use filler for the holes or cracks. Finally, make sure that the wall is completely dry. Look for any signs of damp and deal with it using an appropriate treatment. It is a good idea to apply an undercoat first on a bare or stripped wall. For a better finish and before applying the wallpaper, use caulking compound between the wall and the woodwork, including skirting boards, doors, or window architraves. You could also turn off the electricity and remove existing plug sockets and switches. Mix the paste until it is smooth, following the manufacturer's guidelines. It is very important to let it stand. You can even prepare it the night before. Mark the reference points on the wall. Measure the width at the top of the wall from the edge using a tape measure. Drop the plumb line from this point and make a series of small marks all the way down from the top of the wall. Then measure the height of the wall. Check that all the rolls of paper come from the same batch. For drop pattern match wallpaper, line up the pattern when you start a new drop. This drop will therefore be cut at 2 places, at the top and at the bottom, to line up with the adjacent drop. It is recommended that you cut and hang the drops as you go along to avoid errors. Brush or roll paste all over the paper, leaving a small unpasted area at the side. You are ready to hang the first drop. Position the drop at the edge of the wall, overlapping 5 cm at the top. Ensure it is aligned with your pencil marks, going from the top of the wall. If you are not sure that the wall is vertical, make the first mark 50 cm from the corner of the wall for a 53 cm wide drop, or 100 cm for a 106 cm wide drop. Let the plumb line drop and repeat the reference points. Align the first drop with these points. The paper will cover the corner and overlap onto the other wall. You must then cut it to make the join. The edge will now be vertical even if the walls are not. Smooth over the surface, starting from the middle towards the edges. Cut off any excess paper at the bottom of the skirting board using the smoothing blade. Do the same in the corner of the ceiling and the wall. Cut off any excess paper at the bottom of the skirting board using the smoothing blade. Position the edge of the next drop so that it touches the first. You can lift and replace the paper if necessary. Cut off the excess paper at the top and bottom, then smooth the joint between the 2 drops with the wallpaper brush. Use a damp sponge to remove any excess paste that appears at this joint. For the last piece, you should measure the distance between the previous drop and the corner of the wall. It's a good idea to measure from several places as walls are not always very straight. Cut along the width, adding 5 cm. Once the drop is hung and flattened, cut off any excess in the corner using a knife. Hanging paper in the corner edge. Hang the drop from the corner to the other piece and overlap by several centimeters, using the next drop to cover the edge of the corner by several centimeters. Cut the 2 pieces of wallpaper with a craft knife. Remove the offcut, holding the paper in place with a steel rule to stop it from tearing. Lift the bottom of the wallpaper to remove the second offcut, then smooth the edges. To hang paper in a horizontal corner, work from the top down using the brush to push the paper into the corner edge. Smooth down to the wall, then cut off the excess. To cut out around a window, press on the paper to mark it. Use scissors to cut at an angle up to the mark. Fold and smooth the paper down. Cut quickly with a craft knife and the smoothing blade. To paper behind pipes, mark the outline of the pipe fitting. Use scissors to cut up to this mark. Push the paper under the pipe and smooth it using the knife. Cut a star shape around the bracket and smooth it down again. Electric sockets and switches. Sockets and switches were removed earlier and the electricity was turned off. Mark the outline of the socket box. Use a knife to cut around the shape. You can now replace the sockets and switches. Place the last drop in position on top of the previous one. Cut the top sheet vertically down. Remove the two offcuts. You may see air bubbles appearing 2 or 3 days after hanging the paper. These will fade on their own. If they remain, use a syringe to inject a little paste into the air bubble. Smooth it down and wipe with a damp sponge. Hanging non-woven wallpaper is really not complicated. A stylish result is guaranteed.